question. So can you stay in halls if you live in air? Of course you can, as long as obviously when you get your offer, you can book your accommodation straight away, because it is first come first serve in terms of that. But of course you can live in the student halls if you live nearby, of course.
I'll pop a wee link up for you to have a wee look at the air accommodation on our website and see how you go about applying, fees and stuff like that. I'll do that right now.
Fantastic. So someone asked, what is a typical term like at AIR? So it's very similar to what the other terms will be like in an academic year. So you'll have your lectures and seminars, you'll have different events throughout the year. Obviously, in the current circumstances, this is not happening, but hopefully by September, this will be a bit more back to normality, you could say. But a typical term would be obviously having your lectures, which are the ones in the lecture theatre, which are a lot bigger. The seminars, which are a lot smaller, more group focused. You would have, a bit of homework or a bit of research to do, and then you would have questions to answer. And then you would discuss that within the seminars, and obviously you have things like assignments, exams, maybe depending on what degree you're doing as well. Obviously, we do want people to gain some sort of work experience. So, like I said about the using the careers and development team. And they can help you find work experience which is relevant. So you have your lectures and seminars, you have a lot of study time outside of that as well. So we do urge you to go to the library or study from home to make sure that you're up to date on knowledge on your course, and then obviously looking at all the assignments and then anything else in between. Obviously making time for yourself as well and hanging out with some friends, going to a sports or society, which is really important. It's really good to have a good work-life balance whilst you're at university. So hopefully that answered your question there.
Also, can I just jump in? The terms at UWS run from September until December. Then you break usually for the Christmas holidays and recommence in February until around May time. So it's usually 2 semesters. Sometimes if you perhaps maybe fail a module, you'll have to come back for a 3rd semester, but that's quite rare. But basically you're hardly at uni really in the grand scheme of things. Obviously there are slight differences there for some programs. For example, nursing or education programs as well. Education ones start in August rather than September. So they're a wee bit different. You've got placements with some of them as well, so and some other courses. So yeah.
Fantastic. So I've got one, it's not a question, but it's just a thank you, extremely helpful. So you're welcome, Alex, for that. Glad that the session has been helpful. So another question is, can you apply for student accommodation on your year 2 or year 3 rather than your first? You should be able to. Again, it's as long as you apply on time, in good time, you will be able to apply for accommodation in your year 2 or year 3. A lot of people after their first year in accommodation, whether it's year 2 or year 1, usually they'll find more private accommodation with a group of people you've met. But you can actually go the whole 3 years at the accommodation if you so please as well. Okay, so what is the availability for student parking at the halls of residence?
Alexander, there is parking available, but in terms of how much, I'm actually not sure. None of us are actually based at their campus, believe it or not. So not sure exactly how many spaces there are. I have just put the accommodation email address up. If you want to give them a wee email, or the phone number is there, but I'm not sure if they are on phones at the moment. So you might be best just to send them a wee email and they should be able to confirm exactly how many places there are and how you go about that, if it's reserved or first come, first served, because that I'm not entirely sure about, but the team will be more than happy to help you. So please don't hesitate to send them a wee email.
Fantastic. So Alexandra asks, how much roughly is student accommodation? So
cool. Yeah, I've sent the link that gives the cost. So there's quite a big breakdown. So let me find the AIR one. So studio flats and AIR residence for 17 weeks is total accommodation 2,788. The best thing you could do here is actually to go on and have a wee look, because there's different amount of weeks and stuff like that, so it just differs on the accommodation as well. So please click on that link and take it with you and have a wee look for yourself. It's probably a lot clearer rather than me reading it all out to you, I think. And also, if you're under any debate, if you're really not sure, again, please don't hesitate to email the accommodation team.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Also, I'll say that the rent includes like all bills and internet and things like that, which I just forgot to mention in the presentation. Okay. So how has the university adapted to current events? Our class is going to be online at the start of August, September. So obviously we're following the Scottish government guidelines, and obviously as you know, for the past year, they can change at any time, adapting to the current situation. Hopefully by August, September time, we'll have more positive news and we'll be back to some sort of normality. But obviously we'll keep you up to date. We'll keep all of our applicants up to date on what is happening at UWS in terms of you know, going onto campus and how lessons will be done in August, September.
Yeah, we do have a COVID page on our website, so I've just dropped the link there for you to have a wee look at. Obviously, it might not be relevant just now for you because you're not a current student, but it just shows that we are keeping students up to date. We also have an online system called Aula. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Sorry, Adam. So yeah, we have adapted really well actually to move as much as possible online. Where possible, there are of course courses that simply need to be on campus from time to time, so that has been accommodated as well to ensure that students get the support that they require to get them through their degree. So yeah, we're just adapting like everybody else. We just got to go with whatever the government says. So at the moment, we just don't know for August and September. That's the truth of it. We just don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So someone asks, where can they get information about funding and grants specific to UWS? And we have a page, Lisa.
Yeah, I'm gonna find it.
Yeah, I thought you were.
I'm looking for it. I'll drop that in. Yeah, we've got a full funding team who come under the student support team. They're absolutely fantastic. Again, any specific questions, those are the people to go to regarding them. They will be able to answer your specific inquiries because that is their jobs. So I will drop the page for you and the email address for you in a wee minute once I've got it.
That's fantastic. Okay, I'll move on to the next one. So someone asks, would the TV production room also be used for radio production? I'm not completely 100% sure on that, but I would assume that the facilities can be shared, obviously depending on when someone is using them. But if I would say, I've got, I think, Lisa, have you put that ask email in the
Yeah, I'll pop that in. Yeah,
that's fantastic. So if you look into the chat email, I'll put the email on the next slide after we've done with the questions as well. But if you do have any specific course questions, which are a bit more specific for like course leaders, do email them and they can forward it on to the relevant person who can answer that a bit more in depth for you. If you live further away, does the uni pay for travel expenses?
No, I don't think that's something the uni pay for. You can, when you're applying for your SAS funding, you can also apply for a bursary as well. Yeah. So that's something that would come in under your bursary. Again, you can apply through SAS for that. Again, I'll drop the link for you so that you can go on and read about SAS in case you're not familiar with who they are. But they are who give us our funding, well, give you your funding as a student in Scotland. So, and like I say, you can read more about bursaries and stuff there, but certainly no, the university doesn't pay that. There are hardship funds and stuff that become available from the uni. And again, that's actually something the funding and advice team would be able to help with if you are a student at UWS and you are struggling, maybe perhaps your bursary is just not covering the costs or whatever. So again, that link's just up a little bit as well if you want to scroll up and grab that.
And if you are traveling to university, obviously utilize the student discount. So if you are taking the train, you can get like a season ticket, or that you can call it, where you can basically get discounted travel every time you go to and from university. So you do have a look at that as well. Someone says, as a Glasgow citizen, is it worth moving down to accommodation, or should the train be the better option? So it's really up to you. It's obviously it's easy to get the train. It's just over an hour to get there and back. But it's really down to your personal preference. If you do want to live away, you do obviously get a bit more of independent experience and obviously meeting new people. It's easier to go to your lectures and seminars, and specifically the sports and societies, or if maybe you're having, you know, a social event, it's easier to preside near the university. But that's really up to you. Have a look at the options, have a look at the accommodation, and see if your, you know, your SAS funding can cover it, and look at, you know, how much the train would be to and from university as well. But yeah, have a look at your options and see which one would fit you the best. So we've had this question already. So what's the parking like? If you do get in touch with the accommodation team, they can give you a bit more in-depth answer about.
If you don't mean the accommodate the parking specifically for accommodation and just general parking, there is parking available, but like every organisation, they have cut down on parking spaces for more modern buildings and stuff, and they're trying to encourage people to car share, use public transport and stuff where possible. So there is parking, and there is parking available for students, and there's no cost. However, it does fill up pretty quickly. So if you were planning on driving each day, I would encourage you to leave nice and early in order to take that stress away, so that you're not frantically trying to get a space while your class is beginning. So yeah, it is there. It's up to you, obviously, but be aware that it can get busy.
Fantastic. How do you go about getting a disclosure if you're doing an education degree?
Yeah, so the school will be in touch with you if you have been made an unconditional offer, or even a conditional offer. The School of Education will be in touch with you to arrange that. So they've got certain forums that they'll countersign it for you and stuff like that. So don't panic, they'll be in touch. Just keep a wee eye on your emails, and always check your junk mail as well, because if we've never emailed you before, it might perhaps go into there. So keep a wee eye on it, but don't worry, it's nice and early in the session, probably not started sending those emails out just yet. All right.
Okay. So someone asked, when does the 2021 session begin?
I will get the link to see the exact date. I don't know the exact date off the top of my head. September. If it's an education programme, it'll be August, but let me find that and I'll post the link for you, all right?
Fantastic. Okay, someone asks, how many plug sockets does the average accommodation has? So
no idea.
I'll have a look in the picture again, actually, since you know, since we can easily get that. So see, there's a couple on there, but obviously you can have a plug, like a extender as well, if need be. But I'm not completely sure. There could be plugs hiding around the whole place as well. But you can obviously get one of those extenders in case you need to use that.
I would encourage you to send the accommodation team an email
That's
again. That's what they're there for.
So
yeah, pop them an email. That building, we built Air Campus in 2011. It opened and the accommodation was brand new as well. So we'd like to think that they've you know, because it's a nice modern building, they've put plenty in. I'm sure they have, but definitely just give the accommodation team a wee email. The email address is in the chat there for you, so don't hesitate to give them an email.
Fantastic. I think this was a follow-up question to the to when the 2021 started, the 21 session. So we've answered that already. Lisa's provided the link for that. So education courses usually August, other courses are usually in September, but we have the link available. So when is the best time to apply for additional funding? As I've been looking on the UWS website, everything's offered for the 2021 academic year. So will it be updated for the 21-22? So when is usually SAS open?
When is the best time? David, I don't know the answer to that. Our funding team will certainly be able to help you there. Is it SAS that you're talking about? Because I know that at the moment they are still actually dealing with 2020 students, and but for 2021 the applications for SAS will open real soon. I don't know the exact date, but they usually ask for you to have your application in by the end of June, so they will open soon. If it's SAS, you mean? If not, if it's some different kind of funding, our funding team are the best people to help you with that. And the link is in the chat, so please just scroll up a wee bit and you should be able to find it. I have also just posted the link for the term dates. So on our website, it's then a PDF. So it's the 6th of September. The term starts this year for 2021 officially. All right.
So got a question. I heard that UWS only can get a student loan for 3 years. So does that mean students have to pay for the last year themselves?
No, absolutely not. No, definitely not. You can apply for your SAS funding for the duration of your studies. It's up to SAS. There are individuals who have perhaps already studied and might not get SAS funding again, or they might only get funded for, say they've used 3 years, they might only get funded for another 2, but that is individual circumstances. The majority of people will have absolutely no issue, especially if you've never done higher education studying before. So absolutely, that's not true at all. So no.
And also, if you are, because obviously I don't know where you're from, if you are from outside of Scotland, and usually Scottish universities are, like UWS, for example, majority of courses are 4 years, but the Students' Loan Company will cover the duration of your course, whether that's 3, whether that's 4 years. So don't worry about, you know, if you are outside of Scotland and looking at the Students' Loan Company, England, Wales, Northern Ireland, you will get the loan covered and your living costs or your student loan covered for those years that you're at university, so you won't need to pay anything for that. Okay, someone asked, what is the timetable like? How many days are students usually in? So that's probably a best question to ask our Ask team, our applicant inquiry team, because it varies depending on what course you are doing, and obviously it varies, you know, in terms of, you know, if you're on campus or off campus, things like that as well. So I would get in touch with the Ask team and they can forward it on to someone from the course and they can give you a more in-depth answer there. Okay. So someone says...
SAS have got on their website, I was just looking at that, they've got on their website for 2021, you've got to apply by the end of the 31st of March 2021 for the 2020 academic session. Sorry, that was a lot of 2020s there. So it should be at the beginning of April then that they'll open for 2021 applicants, hopefully. Just keep an eye on the SAS website. Don't panic about it.
Yeah.
Also, if you've never done applying to university SAS, the way that you do that is you will apply for whatever your firm choice university is. And if that perhaps changes for, I don't know, you might end up going to a different university. It's all an online account anyway, so you would just go in and change it. So don't delay and think, oh, well, I need to wait to see if I meet my conditions. Absolutely not. Get your application in as soon as they open using your firm choice information and just change it if applicable at the time. Don't worry about it. Just make sure your details are in the system and they know that you're going to a university this year.
Fantastic. Someone asked, is there any nursing equipment? Yes, there is a fantastic facility available, just not in the 360-degree imagery, unfortunately, but there is fantastic nursing labs and facilities at the Ayr campus. Okay, and someone says, how many people generally share a flat in the accommodation? I think another...
so I believe, I was just looking at that because I'd seen your question. So I think it's 6 off the top of my head. I'm just looking. So obviously you would have the shared facilities in the kitchen and the living area, but your own room is lockable, so nobody else can get into that. So that's your area, and you've got your ensuite in there as well. So that is your area for you to use alone. I'm just trying to see it. I actually can't. It must be different at Ayr. They maybe get some six shares and maybe some smaller ones as well. I'm just trying to find it, but you can never find things when you need to. So give me a second and I'll just keep looking.
Fantastic. I'll move on to Hazel's next question, which is just how many different degrees are available at Ayr campus? So I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but the ones which the subject areas which are at the Ayr campus is the media like the media degrees. So like TV and broadcasting, filmmaking, journalism, new media art. And then the other ones is the education. You've got the sports coaching and development. You've got nursing. You've got some business as well. So they're the primary degrees which are done at the Ayr campus. Okay. Did you have an answer then, Lisa?
No, I can't find anything to see how many that actually share those flats at Ayr. I'm actually not sure. But again, like I've said, the accommodation email is in the chat. So please grab it, send them an email and find out that they're there to help. They'll not mind. In terms of the courses at Ayr, you've also got your nursing as well. So there's quite a few off the top of my head. I've no idea how many there is actually in total at that campus. But yeah, you can have a look on our website, of course, if you've not already applied to UWS, and you can filter it to Ayr campus so that you can only see what's available there if you weren't wanting to travel. So certainly I'll post that link on our website where you can easily put some filters on it. All right.
Fantastic. And last question is, can you only apply for SAS after receiving all your university decisions?
I don't think you need to wait, but I think you should wait until you at least have a couple of offers. I think that would be ideal, because if you end up not getting any offers and you've applied, then it's a bit silly. But it's probably your own discretion. You'll need to put in a university that you're going to, so really you're going to have to at least have one offer anyway, so you might as well just wait till you've got all your offers and you've made your decision on who's your firm and who's your insurance, and then put your firm choice university details into your SAS application. And like I say, you can easily change that if you don't end up going there for whatever reasons.
Fantastic. So I want to ask, how many days a week are PGDE students typically timetabled for? And again, this will be a question for our ASK team, because we're not totally sure.
It's quite intense. I know that. I know it's quite intense. There's a lot of placement for those programs as well. But yeah, give our ASK team a wee email and they'll be able to pass it on to the program leader if you mention the specific course it is that you've applied for, just so that we know and we send it directly to the right person. It just saves back and forth emails. All right. So I'll just put that ASK email address in again, just so that it's there and you don't need to scroll for ages.
Fantastic. And is there any competitions between campuses? So it depends on the sports, the sports which are available, because some of them are multi-campus, some of them may only be at one campus, depending on how big the sport is. But it's easy to get to all the campuses via train if you do want to go and train at any other campuses as well. And obviously, if you want to get involved competitively in the sport, I mentioned in the presentation, you can join the Bucks League and the Scottish Student League. So essentially play all the sports competitively around the UK and in Scotland as well. So it's really good just, to have a really competitive edge when you're playing your sport. Fantastic. Well, I think we've answered nearly 30 questions there, which is, I think, is a new record for us. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening. So just put on some further information here. So I think Lisa's put it in the chat a few times. Yes. ask@uws.ac.uk is the perfect email to email if you've got any specific course questions, need to go a bit more in depth. You've also got the accommodation team, which you can go onto the website, or Lisa has provided the accommodation pages as well. Also, for the funding as well, any specific funding, do email the funding team as well. And we do have other campus tours. So if you've applied for multiple campuses at UWS, we have Dumfries today at 3 p.m. And then next Wednesday, the 24th of February, is our Lanarkshire campus at the same time as this one, 12:15. And then we have our Paisley campus Wednesday, 24th of February at 3 p.m. So thank you very, very much for attending and asking the questions.
Adam, there's just a final question come through.
Yeah,
sorry.
No
so Alexandra is asking, can you have people outside? Can you have people outside, students at UWS in your room staying the night? I used to work at accommodation. It was a few years ago, so that knowledge might be slightly outdated, Alexandra, but of course you do have the accommodation email address there. But certainly back when I used to work in that team, you were, but you had to book them in, and we needed their telephone number and just names, address and stuff, just so that if anything happened, any instance, we've got a record that they were there and so on. So as far as I'm aware, that is still the case and you are still allowed to do that. So yes, but it has been a while since I've worked there, so please do just double check that with the accommodation team, just to be sure if it is something that you planned on doing on a regular basis. Also, I have chucked the link in there for courses specific to Ayr campus, and it turns out there's 14 undergraduate programs there. So I'll pop that link on for you. All right.
Fantastic. All right. So we'll wrap up the presentation there. So thank you very much again for coming along, and we hope to see you at UWS very, very soon. Okay.
Thank you.
See you later.